Hello and welcome everybody to SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem, a show that talks about the journey, challenges, and path ahead for women in the startup ecosystem. We shed light for women to realize that nothing less than the sky is the limit for them in this emerging ecosystem. I'm your host for the day, Saravjeet Singh. SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem, is a podcast series by Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which is a central government department under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Startup India is a flagship initiative under DPIIT intended to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing growth and innovation for startups in the country that will drive sustainable economic growth and generate large scale employment. Our guest today is a mentor and she supports women led startups. She has founded two non profit organizations, Madhyam and Voices, and another not for profit organization registered as a trust called Catalyst for Women Entrepreneurship. Not just that, she's the India ambassador for 50 in Tech, along with being a co chair at B20 Women in Action Council, a G20 initiative. So please welcome Ms. Sucharita Eashwar. Hi, Sucharita. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Welcome to
you.
the show.
I'm very honored to be with all of you here today.
Yeah. Sucharita, as the MD of We Connect International, you started its India operations with the idea of empowering women led businesses. Having done that, why did you feel the need to start Catalyst for Women Entrepreneurship? And by that I mean, why did you feel the need to empower women founders?
I have worked with women for many years, women's empowerment, different aspects of it, whether it's women's health, hearing women's voices in the mainstream media, etc. And what I came to realize was that financial autonomy is essential. It's a basic requirement for any empowerment and assertion of women of their rights. If she cannot stand on her own feet, pay her own bills, and look after her children, it's very difficult for her to assert herself and her rights. So that's what got me started thinking about it. And then to validate the thought which I had, which is to create a nurturing ecosystem for women who want to start up their own business, um, I said, let's do a study to validate it. So in 2016, we did a study to really map the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Interviewed 400 women and men entrepreneurs, investors, policymakers, business associations. And what came out was that yes, women do indeed feel especially hesitant when it comes to starting up. And the major hurdles that they face are first, access to finance. Included in that, we discovered that they are so hesitant and so risk resistant that even to go to a bank and ask for a working capital loan against a big order they think is a big risk. Then access to new markets, because they are not part of networks, they don't know how to get new markets, new customers, and they are very unconfident about their business skills, how to manage a business. So therefore they stay small, they don't grow, and they're looking for guidance, they're looking for a mentor or an advisor who will work to closely with them. So that's what we started out to create.
That's an interesting base. And you very rightly mentioned the hesitance and reluctance in starting up or actually seeking that right set of resources. When you started, you've already founded two not-for-profit organizations. I want to know from your perspective, what have been your struggles in terms of starting up, and how have they been different, as opposed to starting or promoting a new startup or maybe a for-profit venture?
Yes, I have worked on both sides of the fence. I have worked for an IT startup, and then I have now started this not for profit platform for women entrepreneurs. And it's a much harder journey because, firstly, the target group, the customer group often are not able to pay for the services adequately because they are they're lagging behind financially. And a non-profit is not of interest to financial institutions. Because you're not able to make a profit, you cannot go to a bank, a VC, an angel investor. So it's only those organizations who are in sync with your objective, your vision and mission, who would be interested to back you. And for women entrepreneurship promotion, there are not many who are there. So it has been a struggle.
I can imagine. Sucharita, it's been more than 6 years since you started Catalyst for Women Entrepreneurship. And during those years, is there any particular sector at which women are generally inclined? Uh, is there any particular sector that they are best at?
Uh, CWE, Catalyst for Women Entrepreneurship, was registered in 2017. So we are going to be soon completing 5 years. Although it was 1 year in my head, envisioning and working on how to make it happen. So women naturally gravitate to making the earth a more beautiful and sustainable place. So traditionally, we have found that they move towards health, wellness, these kind of businesses, education, skill building, um, and then traditional crafts, textiles, and environment. A whole range of products and services around saving the environment and creating sustainable environment. But in our country, fortunately, we have more women graduating than men every year. There are at least 5 lakh women who are graduating with specialized degrees in medicine, in engineering, and specialized advanced skills. So they are all looking at what they can do to leverage that skill, that experience. And so we are now beginning to see a lot of women led tech startups. So they are in deep tech, in biotech, and agri-tech. And even the ones who are in more traditional businesses are looking at how they can use enabling technology to reach further, to reach new customers, to go global. So this is what I see happening in the Indian ecosystem today.
Sucharita, what do you think are the factors that have persisted throughout these years and hampered the growth of women in the industry? And what are the measures you feel that, if brought in, would actually discontinue these practices and actually help women move forward?
Well, it's really centuries of socio-cultural conditioning that we are dealing with. And it's something that is handed down to us as we are born. And it's both for men and women. So I think the first thing parents today should be looking at is how to give a training and orientation, a conditioning to their sons as well as their daughters on equality and bringing in the values. And then it is also up to the present generation and each one of us to really, whether it's men, whether it's women, to stand for equity in as we run our lives. So really, I would say this is a basic thing which will play out in everything, whether it's running of the government, educational institutions, businesses. So this is a basic thing that we need to look at.
Sucharita, over the years, have you found any change in the kind of ideas that women have been bringing on board?
I think women are really leading transformation in our economy and our society today.
Right.
Uh, I see women really concerned about the development of their families, of course. And there is a study, a UN study, which shows that women spend 90% of their income on family and community, as against 39 to 40% of men putting their money behind
Right.
that. So that's an indicator. So I see women doing innovative tech startups, first of all, really amazing stuff, which are technology enabled. They are doing fantastic work in health, in education, in environment, and now they are, those are traditional kind of businesses and food. Now what I see them doing, and CWE helps them with it, is leveraging technology to be able to bring in innovative products and services, to use digital technology to expand their reach, to reach global markets. So really that's what's happening. And that's 50% of the population which has been lagging behind. And if we can really spur that growth, I don't think there will be any doubt about India becoming one of the top three economies in the world.
Absolutely. Amen to that. It's really interesting to see how CWE has adopted like a multi-pronged approach where you're not just taking off one aspect in terms of supporting a women entrepreneur, but then actually coming out and giving that market access as well. Right? But when you think of it, I think it's very important for the core CWE team also to know what is important at a particular stage of a startup. So I want to know from you, when you witness a startup's growth story from one stage to another, which stage in particular would you say is the most crucial in a startup's growth story, and what can be done by a startup to probably safeguard better or improve it better?
I think there are three basic and fundamental areas which a startup must look at and work on
Right.
very seriously as they start up. First is, yeah, they come with a brilliant business idea, validating that business idea with the stakeholders, especially the customers who they have in mind. So, validating the business idea, number one, and very fundamental. The second thing is to build a business plan, because we find a lot of entrepreneurs just jumping in and they don't have a concrete, well worked out business plan in place with validated data which they have collected.
Okay.
So that's the second thing, the business plan. And the third thing is to find a mentor and advisors who will guide them. They have the experience, who will be able to guide them through that startup period
Right.
and help them stand on their feet.
Interesting. So starting with the product market fit, I think, is very important in getting down to a business plan and getting it right. So Charita, you have been in this industry for more than 3 decades now, right? And again, I want to know from you, what are the key things that the key areas across which women of today, need to be empowered the most, right? And what can be done to improve the larger systems so that this can be adopted? Like you said, that generations and generations of mindset has been passed down, and that is why we are standing here. What, according to you, can be improved, basically?
Um, I think in our country, the government, the different stakeholders in our system and economy are waking up to the fact that
Yeah.
50% of the population is lagging behind. So, the task before us is really to reach out to the millions of educated, skilled women who are sitting there and give them the confidence to get started and to scale up their enterprises. That's the first thing, to reach out, to give that confidence. And then to create and have an ecosystem of enabling policies, of platforms
Right.
and networks such as ours, which will give them that support, because that is what we see, that women want, they have this business idea, they have no idea how to get it started, where to go, if they need funding or a basic micro loan even.
Yeah.
Of 1 to 5 lakhs, they don't know what's available, and there's a lot available today, right? But they don't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing. And the third thing, as they grow, is to have sensitized financial institutions to provide them debt as well as equity, whatever is appropriate, to help these women startups to scale up. Because that's the next stage where the hurdle comes, the block comes.
Sucharita, what would you suggest to our viewers as to how to maintain a balance between their personal and professional spheres in a way that women entrepreneurs don't have to struggle as much as they do currently?
Women are praised for being multi skilled and multi skilling, and that's one thing which they have to do. I am saying something different. I say be focused, identify your priorities, prioritize what you want to do, and follow that. So, if you choose to start up a business and grow it, then it would mean, and the reality is, women have their families as well, and there are expectations. But it doesn't mean that she has to do it all by herself. And I've seen that happening with many women, and they're struggling and totally stressed. So, what I say is enroll your family, enroll your network to be able to give you the support you need to see that the family is taken care of and you have time and effort to put into your business. So, for example, uh, parenting and housekeeping, household tasks are family responsibilities. And a family consists of both the partners and the children. And it's a consensus to be arrived at to be able to deal with it collectively, not by one person. And I'll give you a concrete example from my life. I have two girls, and when they were both in school, I was working and I had to travel quite extensively. So I enrolled my older daughter. There's an 8-year difference between them, and said, "Hey, can you just look and see whether Tara is doing her work, homework, and whether she needs any little help from you? Just keep an eye. Is it possible?" So she said, "Okay, ma." So she used to do that. "Hey, have you finished your homework today?" So it's like that. It's everybody in the family pitching in and giving that necessary support according to their capability.
Correct.
Yeah, and also I think that what women should do is to really look at, coming from the future. Yes, you are here today, but a year from now, 3 years from now, where do you want to be? And how are you going to equip yourself? If you need to build up your own skills, do it
Right.
to be able to manage your business.
So, after an interesting line of questioning and all the more interesting answers, we've come to the session where I'm going to ask you some good, interesting rapid fire questions, right? Whatever comes to the top of your head. So, your best book.
My best book is called Lean In. I don't know if all of you have heard about it.
Yeah.
It's by Sheryl Sandberg, and I brought it to share it with you. It's women, work, and the will to lead. So I really want all the women who are listening in today to have the will to lead. So that's one of my favorite books.
That's quite interesting. And your favorite author?
Is She's my inspiration, Maya Angelou.
Oh, that's
That's also my daughter's name, Maya.
Okay.
And her biography is called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I would really invite everybody to read her book.
Definitely. Your best quote?
Also by Maya.
Yeah.
It's called Don't Wait for Opportunity, Create It.
Okay. That's interesting. Actually, quite befitting for women entrepreneurs today. Your favorite influencer?
Um, Ariana Huffington.
Okay.
She is the publisher and the owner of Thrive Global and the Huffington Post. I find the content, the inspiration, all that comes is really amazing. And closer to home, Shraddha Sharma. I think most people here would have heard about it. She is the founder of Your Story and also Her Story, which showcases women entrepreneurs, gives a lot of very useful information and inspiration for all women.
Next one, your favorite go-to food.
Uh, I can think of two. One is nutty, fruity smoothies.
Okay.
I love that. And another, which is, my weakness, uh, Christmas plum cake.
Oh, your go-to pastime.
I love to take off and walk with myself in a place full of trees with birds chirping.
That's a soothing one. Sucharita's role model.
My role model, one of them, which I came across and I thought she was amazing, not for every woman, is you may have heard of her, Kalpana Saroj.
Okay.
She heads Kamani Tubes and 7 other companies, and she came from a very humble background, minimal education, child marriage. She was subjected to violence in her marital home, went home, but faced a lot of problem there. She rose above all that, and today she, owns 7 companies. I think that is just incredible. Everyone, please read the story of Kalpana Saroj.
Indeed, she didn't wait for opportunities. She created her own.
She
I'd say.
created her own opportunities.
A quality that you value the most in a person.
Uh, it is, I would say, integrity, a oneness of intention, thought, and deed.
That's quite
So when all that is in alignment, then you can really go
Right.
far.
Right. And one last question I have for you. How would you like to be remembered?
Huh. I'd like to be remembered as a person who made a difference and inspired everyone I came across to follow their dream.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. Before we leave, I have one last question for you. What are the top 2 or the top 3 advice points that you would like to give the women entrepreneurs of today?
One, allow yourself to dream.
Yeah.
Two, follow your dream.
Yeah.
And the third, keep going.
Yeah.
So, dream, follow your dream, and keep going.
Thank you, Sucharita, for sharing your remarkable journey with us. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Really an honor to be with all of you here today and look forward to working with some of you going forward. Thank you.
And with that, I, Sarabjit Singh, would like to say goodbye. We'll be back with another episode of SuperStree, Women in the Startup Ecosystem, powered by Startup India, DPIIT. Until then, dear ladies, keep dreaming, keep setting goals, and stay determined to achieve what you desire. Once again, thank you.